to episode 5 of the Cooking Chronicles. Since we've been doing this for, the last 4 episodes, this 5th one's gonna be a little special. Let me show you guys my little special family recipe. It's basically tuna mac and cheese. I know.
Ew, that's gross, Ethan. I don't want to eat that.
It's actually very good if you try it out. So we're gonna make it. I'm gonna show you how to. It's really simple, pretty quick, straight to the point. I've added some of my own stuff, such as, real cheese. What? Real cheese? That's crazy. Might as well add in a mix and do some desserts as well and make some Reese's brownies. Let's get right into this. So basically, of course, you get your box of macaroni and cheese. You open it up, pour it in. I like to stir it a little so that, it doesn't get all like conjoined up because it tends to do that. All right, so for this next part, while you're waiting for it to boil, you can open your can of tuna. I either prefer the Great Value or Starkist. You'll know because you'll see the classical tuna guy from, the food movie, Food Wars or something. We'll open it with a can opener. Ugh, you got the tuna, which I already spilled some. Oh my gosh, that's gross. So now we can have this sitting out over here while we wait for this to boil.
Cue the 10-second montage.
Yeah, don't mind me just almost burning the apartment down. So, for this next part, you're gonna want to empty out the water, so I recommend like a grater or something so that you can pour out, all the water out of the mac and cheese bowl. Alright, so for this next part, you might not want to, do it while your stove is on, but I'm a freaky person. I do enjoy my stove being on. This next part asks for butter, 4 tablespoons. I usually guesstimate about this much of butter. Pretty much. Dump it in there. All right, so for this next part, you need about 1/4 of a cup of milk. I like whole milk. It's very good in vitamin D and all that. And then you'll just pour this in. And then lastly, we need the cheese sauce. So now we'll put the cheese powder on. Get rid of that. See you later, sucker. And then you mix this up. And I know, this kind of looks disgusting, right?
You're like, ew, Ethan, it's watery, not that good looking, there's still a piece of butter in there.
But just wait. This is gonna be delicious. Cheddar cheese is what makes the difference between this as well as the tuna. So next we're gonna put cheese while the butter melts. So this next part, you mix the cheese in together with the butter and the mac and cheese and all that. Not too much though, because it can get very cheesy, which I don't like too much. You just have to wait, guys. Trust the process, okay? I'm not making this a crappy mac and cheese. Final step, you add in the tuna. So you put all this in, bam, bam, bam. Make sure you kind of cut it up into pieces beforehand, because then you'll have to dig into it a little. You can put as much tuna as you want. If you're a protein freak, then sure, go ahead, be my guest. You hear that? That's what good with Dissy sounds like. Oh, I forgot to cut the tuna up a little beforehand. I usually cut it up in the can with the fork. I just smash it so it all kind of blends in together. But yeah, just mix this up a lot. And then eventually you should have your nice, delicious tuna mac and cheese. All right, so it looks like we finished it. It looks very creamy, just how I like it. We're gonna do the review now, and we'll get right into the next part. Let's get right into this. Let's take a bite, dink it, and sink it. Oh, that is delicious. So, hear me out. Tuna fish is really good with this, okay? If you haven't tried it and you're saying, ew, that's nasty, you should try it at least once. My dad used to make this all the time with almond milk, and it sweetened it a little, and it would taste the best. Now, in my opinion, I don't care what milk I use, it still tastes good either way, but I think the tuna really adds to the flavor of the mac and cheese. So here's something freaky I do. I'm a person who loves combinations of food, and I'll get French bread too, just to add to it. So we get some French bread, we put it on top, and you have yourself a nice little tuna mac and cheese sandwich, I guess. If you love mac and cheese, and you love tuna mac and cheese, try this with bread. Makes a nice sandwich or a nice little side to it. All right, we're gonna take one more bite and I'll give you my honest opinion and thoughts on this. All right, so it's time for the price overview. So let's get right into this. So first up, we got the mac and cheese box. It's literally like $1.50, okay? That is really cheap and really good. The tuna fish, it depends on how much you get. I like to get the 4-packs where it's $4, but typically they're usually like $1, $2 for a nice little can of tuna. And then next we have milk. So milk, it's like $1, $2 at most for like, I think it can't, no, it's it's $3 for a gallon of milk. So if you do half gallons, like $1.50. So it's all up to you, deciding on how much you want to spend on milk. And then cheese, which was like $2 or $3, which is pretty cheap too, not gonna lie. And then lastly, the butter, which is like $3 or $4, which is really cheap too. So the total price of this whole meal, if you're including French bread too even, it'd be around like $13 to $14, all right? The whole mac and cheese meal would be like $12 to $13. And then if you add, of course, you know, the good old French bread, it's $13 to $14, okay? I just wanted to, you know, share this little, even though it's not much of a recipe with y'all, because, you know, my father would always give me this on Sundays whenever we'd be leaving to, you know, my mother's house. So it brings back good memories every time I try it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so we're finishing up with the Reese's brownie mix. Let's get those ingredients out real quick and we'll go right into this. All right, so we got all the ingredients, we got everything else. Now it's all set and we're ready to start this. All right, so first off, we're gonna crack this egg. Dump it in, we'll throw this in the trash. And so next it asks for 1/3 of vegetable oil to be poured in. So we're gonna pour in 1/3 of vegetable oil. And lastly, it asks for 3 tablespoons of water. So 1, 2, and 3. So now get your whisk and mix this up a little, okay? Me, I'm a big fan of what's it called? This Reese's brownie mix. It's not too expensive and it makes a decent amount of brownies. So now we're gonna pour the brownie mix in. All right, now let's get back to whisking. All right, so we finished. Let's dump all these flipping peanut butter chips in there. All right, so I have an 8x8 pan, so we're gonna pour this into the 8x8 pan. Get that dumped in nice and juicily. Let me pull this over here while we dump the rest of this out. Come on, baby, come on. So now it says to put this in the oven for about 36 to 39 minutes. Make sure you jiggle around so it's all evened out. And now we'll wait for the oven to warm up. And once that's ready, we'll get on to the next section of the video. All right, so we just heard the oven beep. So let's put the nice little brownies into the oven. Careful, don't burn your hands or anything. I got a scar on my arm because of this. So we'll do it at 37 minutes and we'll see how long it takes for the oven to produce these brownies. 0. Boom. Timer off. Ooh, they smell good. Hopefully they're just as delicious as they smell. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so we're gonna be cutting this. This is still pretty warm, so we're gonna cut it into 3x3. Boom. I probably butchered this way worse than you guys would, but hey, I don't know how to cut too well. Like I said, don't play with knives like me. Try to grab brownie. It kind of fell apart. Oh well. We're on to the brownie now. It's pretty late at night, but hey, let's finish it off with a banger. We're gonna grab a piece and we're just gonna eat it. Wow. Oh. That is delicious. And I got some milk too to go along with it. So if you're lactose intolerant, this episode might not be for you. I don't know what this is about brownies, but brownies are the best thing in the world, I swear. Not the best thing, but the best dessert. Might have some brown in my teeth. Let's see. Probably do, and I don't see it from here. probably give you like, you know, 10 out of 10. It's not even a meal, it's a dessert. So we're finishing this after the original, you know, full meal. Let's get right into the prices and review for the brownies. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so the Reese's brownie, probably, you know, one of your more cheaper dessert options, I'd say. First off, the batter is $4 to $5, okay? And then eggs, depending on how you get your eggs, I have a boss who gives me free eggs like every week, so they're free to me, but for you they might be like $6 to $8. I know eggs are pretty expensive nowadays. And then we got vegetable oil, which is like $3 or $4, and water, which is free. You could probably go to the lake and just. This would cost you around $13 to $14, but yeah, that's just for, you know, a simple man's dessert, okay? I'm a simple man. I love brownies and peanut butter chips. It hits the spot, all right? But let me know what you guys thought. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, whether it was me, you know, reviewing the mac and cheese, which family heirloom, I loved it. And then the brownie, I've been making those since, you know, I became an adult basically. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This was, like I say, these cooking chronicle videos are a delight to make because I enjoy cooking, whether it's just, you know, putting cheese and mac and all that in there, or, you know, actually cooking, like, you know, making the king's tenders. That was really crazy to me. But anyways, I hope you guys have a wonderful evening, morning, afternoon, or night. And I hope I can see you guys in the next video, alright? Make sure to comment and like while you're at it. Subscribing, you don't have to. That's more of like if you really are into my content, which not a lot of people are, so that's fine. But I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out!